The Hardy Boys officially re-signed with TNA Wrestling. The owner of GCW, Brett Lauderdale, opens up on AEW, pulling Ricky Starks from several upcoming events and appearances. AEW reveals the participants and details for the International Women's Cup qualifiers are set to culminate at the Wrestle Dynasty event. The Women's Tag Team Championships in WWE reportedly are set to be vacated after Jade Cargill suffered a legitimate injury, being written off of television. We got the ratings for Monday's edition of Monday Night Raw on USA Network. Plus, Lance Anawahi is signed to WWE, but just when is he set to debut on WWE television? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with news of the Hardy Boys re-signing with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Now, the news was exclusively broken from Sports Illustrated. They wrote that the takedown on SI exclusively reported that TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Hardy Boys, have re-signed with TNA Wrestling. Now, the terms of the contracts have not been disclosed. Now, Matt and Jeff Hardy are regarded as one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. They won their third TNA World Tag Team Championships back in October, defeating the previous champions, The System and ABC, at Bound for Glory in a Full Metal Mayhem match. Now, as for what's next for the Hardy Boys, Matt talked to the Takedown about why he and Jeff decided to remain in TNA, Joe Hendry, and who he'd like to see them wrestle in 2025. The Takedown asked, TNA Wrestling is letting us announce they have re-signed Matt and Jeff Hardy and will be around for the foreseeable future. Congratulations to you and your brother. Matt Hardy responded by saying, quote, it's exciting for us. We really believe in the direction that TNA is going. They've got a lot of big plans for 2025. They've taken great care of us. They've put myself and Jeff in positions to succeed, which we're very grateful for. We love the crew there, from the boys and the girls in the locker room to the management. Everyone and everything is really clicking right now. It feels like the unity is really strong. The brand is growing again. I see a lot of upward mobility for TNA over the course of the next year. Jeff and I will be a part of that for the next year. Now, the Takedown then asked, was all of that the biggest determining factor, or was there a specific moment where you and Jeff are like, all right, this feels right? Matt Hardy said, quote, it does. We worked on a handshake deal all the way through to winning the titles and having the titles for a month. So it's been a great relationship with trust between us and TNA management. Everything they've said they were going to do, they followed through with. Everything we said we were going to do, we followed through with. It just feels right. Jeff was very adamant about it. Jeff is really enjoying this run in TNA. He's feeling confident. Last week we were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where we won our first major set of World Tag Team Championships, which was July 1999. Jeff and I were in the ring as we had a couple of matches. One was with Jake Something, Trent Seven and Hammerstone, and the next night we worked with The System, and we said, man, both the nights the crowd was so hot. We feel both very good physically. I said it felt like we were wrestling in the year 2000, 2001. It's like we turned back time. Everything's clicking. We're very happy with what we're doing there, and we want to do what we can to help build TNA back into one of the top brands in pro wrestling. Now, Takedown then said, I know you can't speak too much for Jeff, but in terms of yourself, all the times you've been in TNA, do you feel so far this has been the best run of them all? Matt Hardy said, quote, I think so. It's really hard to compare runs. Whenever we did the Broken Universe, the Broken Matt Hardy happened. That was the most fun I've ever had in my career. That was, in a lot of ways, I kind of look at that with fond memories, and I think that is the greatest year of my career. So that was an amazing run. But towards the end, once management changed, there were a lot of things that just, there's no hatred, there's no resentment towards anything, but just the right people weren't put in the right places. It was a new business taking over wrestling that didn't really know wrestling as much. Now Anthem is doing a great job because they have people in the role of the bosses that know wrestling and they understand what they're doing. It has been great, and really this is the run that's been the most fun I've had in a very, very long time. Probably the most fun I've had since my run as Broken Matt Hardy and the year that I did the Broken Universe. So certainly a lot of positive things to say when it comes to TNA Wrestling from Matt and Jeff Hardy. Now, the Takedown also asked, what can fans expect from Matt and Jeff Hardy for the remainder of 2024 and 2025 in TNA? Matt Hardy said, quote, in 2024, I think you're going to see one of the most badass tables match before it's all said and done. It's something we've got lined up, and that's against The System. I've got to put over The System, even though we don't always see eye to eye. Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards are excellent at what they do. They kill it. Moose is an incredible athlete. I enjoyed working with him. That was my first time really working a program with him, and anytime Dan goes around, it's fun to work with him. In 2025, I think you will see the Hardy Boys go in hot as the champions, fighting champions. Then I think you're going to see our characters evolve some. Jeff and we have several different ideas. I think it's going to be something fun, and I think it's going to be something that is going to freshen up our whole act again, which hopefully turns into something pretty big. Now, a big story is GCW having Ricky Starks pulled by AEW from several of their upcoming shows, and a blanket ban for AEW talent from appearing on GCW shows. Now, GCW's Brett Lauderdale has commented on Ricky Starks being pulled from his promotion's upcoming shows. Now, Starks appeared at GCW Dream On this weekend and cut a promo that referred to his not being used by AEW over the last 8 months. It seemed that Starks and Matt Cardona were beginning a program, but then GCW was informed yesterday that AEW was pulling Starks from all upcoming appearances for the company. Lauderdale addressed the situation on an episode of the Game Changer weekly podcast early Tuesday morning. He said, quote, Ricky Starks has worked for GCW before, so he's no stranger. We know him and we had a little bit of a relationship, and he's also pretty tight friends with a few of the people in our locker room. He, like many others, reached out to us and asked if we'd be interested, and of course, we'd love to have a guy like Ricky Starks. We know how talented he is. We know how popular he is. His promo and his appearance could have easily led to good business in many different directions. So I think it was a big opportunity, and a big opportunity seized up. And until a couple of hours ago, it looked like we were going to be all right on track, all of us. Theoretically, an independent contractor is independent, and they can go and work wherever they want. But in wrestling, these independent contractors don't seem to be very independent. They're at the whim of an employer, which sure makes it seem like they're an employee. I don't know. It's above our pay grade. I'm just an indie wrestling company, and I don't have people under contract. I don't really have a line of communication with AEW. I've never talked to Tony Khan on the phone or via text in my entire life. They don't talk to me. I'm not trying to say that necessarily in a negative context, but I guess we've never really had to talk. I haven't been on the phone with AEW where they've given me an explanation or asked me any questions or anything. I have no communication with AEW over this. I don't know where it goes beyond Ricky Starks, but of course, Sunday was Bloodsport in Jersey City, and John Moxley was there, and Marina was there, and some others, many others actually were there, both on and off camera. So I'm not sure what the deal is. Of course, I've heard things. I've heard things in many different directions, but again, without me hearing it directly from AEW, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. I've always considered GCW and AEW to be on the same team, so I don't know if this is meant to punish Ricky Starks. Is it meant to punish GCW? Is it somewhere in between? I just don't know, because again, I just don't have that line of communication. It certainly doesn't feel great. I would love to know if there's something that we should have done or something we should be doing or whatever, but we got to the point where this stuff was agreed upon and announced, and fans were looking forward to this. So whenever that happens, to promote something and then have to pull it back, it's not ideal. Now, shortly after Starks was pulled from GCW shows, Fightful reported that comments made by GCW's Effie on his podcast regarding Tony Khan's father, Shad Khan, played a role in the decision. Effie said on his show, quote, Brett does not own a football team. Brett doesn't have a dad who pays him to stay away. I don't want this to be a personal thing, I don't, but hey guys, you aren't the only game in town. Lauderdale responded saying, quote, I don't get to regularly tune into Effie's podcast, so I wasn't really aware of anything that would be considered too controversial that he would have said. I've only heard snippets now since I've read that, and you know, what Effie says is Effie's opinion, and Effie's an independent wrestler. He's an independent contractor. He says this stuff on his own personal podcast, which is not endorsed or promoted or amplified or platformed by GCW. He's his own guy. I don't review what he does. I have no control over Effie. He is absolutely independent, 100%. Now, speaking of AEW, they've revealed the participants and details for the International Women's Cup qualifiers. Details for the AEW's Wrestle Dynasty International Women's Cup qualifiers have been announced. It was announced on social media that a mini-tournament will be held to determine AEW's entrant in the four-way International Women's Cup that will take place at Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th at the Tokyo Dome. That will also feature Stardom, CM Al and Ring of Honor talent. Jamie Hayter will meet Queen Aminata on Wednesday's Dynamite, while Serena Deeb will take on Willow Nightingale on December 7th edition of AEW Collision. The winners of those two matches will face off at Collision Winter is Coming on December 12th, where the winner will become AEW's representative in the four-way. During Full Gear 0 Hour, it was announced that Ring of Honor's participant will be decided between Red Velvet, Billy Starks, Athena, and Layla Hirsch. CM Al will determine their representative in a four-way match between Zixus, Rena Isis, Persephone, and Sanely on December 13th. Now let's talk about WWE and the Women's Tag Team Championships. Jade Cargill, of course, was written off television with a backstage attack on the November 22nd episode of SmackDown. Footage showing Cargill being found backstage during Bianca Belair's Women's United States Championship first round match can be seen during the broadcast. It was later reported that WWE are keeping the severity of Cargill's injury very secret in comments made by Dave Meltzer. With Cargill and Belair holding the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, details of plans for the title have now emerged. According to Backstage Pass Q&A, WrestleVotes has stated that WWE will strip the champions of their titles. WrestleVotes is quoted as saying, quote, "Again, I'm working on nailing down the details, but I'm hearing they're going to have to strip Bianca. Yes, those bouts are cursed. I mean, this happens time and time again." Now, at the time of recording, it isn't known when this will take place or how the next Women's Tag Team Champions will be decided. If this happens, of course, it certainly would not be the first time the Women's Tag Team Championships have been vacated in recent years, with Liv Morgan and Sonya Deville falling to injury during separate title reigns, both in 2023. I was talking about our ratings for Monday's edition of Raw on USA Network. Raw viewership stayed steady on November 25th, but the demographic rating dipped compared to previous weeks. Per WrestleNomics, WWE Raw averaged 1.510 million viewers on Monday. In the 18 to 49 demographic, Raw averaged 0.47 demo. The total viewership is in line with last week's show, which averaged 1.516 million viewers. The demographic rating was slightly down, as last week's show averaged a 0.49 rating. WrestleNomics notes that Raw led cable in the 18 to 49 demographic on primetime, except for Monday Night Football, which averaged a combined 4.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic and a 17.32 million viewership figure. The November 25 episode of Raw was the go-home show for Survivor Series. The show featured the War Games Advantage match between Bianca Belair and Nia Jax, plus Bron Breakker facing Ludwig Kaiser, and the LWO faced American Maid. Additionally, Gunther kicked off the show with him being confronted by his challenger at Survivor Series, Damian Priest. And finally, Lance Anoa'i has signed to WWE. Just when are we going to see him on television? As previously reported, WWE recently signed a member of the real-life bloodline, Lance Anoa'i, to a WWE contract to work on the NXT brand. After being officially signed, Anoa'i still hasn't appeared on NXT television. Fightful Select is reporting an update noting that Lance Anoa'i and the other newly signed talents are going to be sprinkled in with debuts as WWE see fit. The report notes that Anoa'i is expected to be cleared to wrestle in early 2025. It remains to be seen when Lance Anoa'i will make his NXT debut at the time of recording, but of course, if we get any more details, we'll let you know as and when they become available. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.